Welcome to episode 40 of Uncaged Sports Talk. Today is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. Wasn't sure what to do this week. I could have talked about some basketball, but I talked about that last week. Covered a lot of topics last week. I've seen a few quarterback rankings lists over the last week or so. So here today on Uncaged Sports Talk, we are just going to be doing a 2024 NFL quarterback ranking. I'm going to rank all the NFL quarterbacks going into the 2024 season. And I also polled about 20 people, and I have a consensus list. We're going to compare the consensus list to my top 10. I'm going to go through the consensus list first on this episode, and then I'm going to go through it and we can do my entire list. It's going to be like 38 QBs, excluding rookie quarterbacks. Rookie QBs will be excluded. Rookie QBs will be excluded from the list. Sorry, hold up, give me 1 second. Sorry for the difficulties. But yeah, rookie QBs will be excluded from the list. I just think I need new glasses. If you ever see me fidget with my glasses, for some reason on my camera screen, they look like off-centered. And it bothers the hell out of me. But when I'm looking in the mirror, they don't look off-centered. It's just weird. I don't know. But I probably need new glasses. Without further ado, though, we're going to get into the top 10 quarterbacks for the NFL season and heading into 2024. First, the consensus list. Coming in at number 10 is Aaron Rodgers. I don't really have a problem with that spot on the list for Aaron Rodgers. I think 10's a decent spot for Rodgers. No, big takeaways with that spot. He's coming off the Achilles, or else he could be higher, might be lower if who knows. But coming in at 10's a decent spot for Aaron Rodgers. Number 9 is an interesting spot for Brock Purdy. Some people had him higher. Some people didn't even have him in their top 10. I personally don't think I'll have him in my top 10. We'll see later on in the episode. But I think just a little lower than 9 would be better. Like 10, 11, 12. I think that's the Purdy range. He's close enough at 9, though, in the consensus ranking. The problem with him is if you put, to me at least, if you put Jalen Hurts on the Niners last year, I think they have a potential to go undefeated. You put a quarterback like Jalen Hurts on the Niners last year, they might go undefeated, and they're definitely winning the Super Bowl last year with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. Coming in at number 8, Dak Prescott. Now, he's a quarterback that goes up and down. This seemed to be pretty consistent with his ranking right here. 8th for Dak Prescott. I think that's a really good spot for Dak. I think that's almost perfect for Dak. Dak Prescott at number 8. Coming in at number 7, the Duke, as OG Wade on WIP, a caller likes to call him, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts at number 7. The two people I think that are put above him in the consensus ranking at 5 and 6, I do not think should be above him. I'll get into that shortly. But Jalen Hurts at 7 is, I think, a solid spot, especially coming off of how he ended last year. He struggled late last year. He was an MVP candidate through 10 weeks, though, and almost won the MVP the year before, and almost beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Outdueled Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Granted, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but that's neither here or there. Coming in at number 6, CJ Stroud. I think this is an interesting spot for CJ Stroud. My problem with CJ Stroud is he's only done it 1 year. You've seen a lot of one-year wonders in the past. I think he's really good. I just need to see one more year out of CJ Stroud. I need to see him be able to do it again to put him in the top 5 or so. Coming in at number 5 on the list, this one, a lot of people love this dude, but I'm not a huge fan of him. Justin Herbert. He comes in at number 5 on the consensus list. Herbert, yes, he has all the tools. He has all the talent. If you're building a QB from scratch, if you're building like a QB based on looks and a QB just from scratch and skills, Justin Herbert is the QB if you're building from scratch. He's a prototypical QB if you're building from scratch in today's NFL. Problem is, even dating back to his Oregon days, he just doesn't win. Like, granted, he's had his wide receivers banged up. And sorry for the bad quality. I just noticed for some reason. I know my input's on what I want. Okay, I'm good. Never mind. I was just looking at my settings. But he just doesn't win. Granted, his wide receivers have been banged up over the last few years. But the excuses for this guy are like insane. If Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott had an under 500 record like Justin Herbert does, those two guys would be out of the league. They'd be out of the league with how much they're ridiculed if they had an under 500 record. In 5 years, Justin Herbert has maybe 4, but still, Justin Herbert, 4 years, has a below 500 record. That's inexcusable. That's inexcusable. And now people are going to say, yeah, it's the team, blah, blah, blah. The team isn't throwing fourth quarter picks. I'm not sure if it includes last year. I'd have to go back and double check. I'm going to do my research real quick, double check that as I'm talking about it. But at least this year, Justin Herbert had the most fourth quarter interceptions in all of football. It maybe over the last 2 years the stat was. I'm double checking. Since entering, okay, here's the stat. You can't blame your roster for this, Herbert. You can blame coaching to a degree, but you can't blame coaching for it all. Since entering the NFL in 2020, and this was in October, so the number's probably gone up. October of 2023. But since entering the NFL in 2020, no QB has thrown more fourth quarter interceptions than Justin Herbert. The number for Herbert at that point was 16. This dude is just not a winner. He does not have what it takes, maybe up top, to win. He's not a winner, even dating back to college. He doesn't win. I'm sorry for going on a rant about Justin Herbert. I'm not a huge fan of him. But he comes in at number 5 on the consensus list. I would personally take Hurts above Stroud and Herbert. Coming in at number 4, Josh Allen. Josh Allen, I think this is a good spot for Allen. Just about everyone agrees with it. Only problem with Allen is he has more interceptions than the top 5 combined. Josh Allen he's just a turnover machine. Or than the other guys in the top 5. But Josh Allen is a really good quarterback, just turns the ball over a lot. That's his biggest problem. If he can cut down on the turnovers, he'll be amazing. He can win an MVP if he cuts down on the turnovers. Coming in at number 3, Joe Burrow. I actually have him at 2. You'll see that as I go through mine, as I rank mine. But Joe Burrow comes in number 3 on the consensus. I don't really have a problem with that spot. He has been banged up 2 out of the 4 years he's been in the league. But 2 out of the 4 years he's been in the league as well, he's made an AFC championship game. And he's made it to a Super Bowl as well. So each year he's been healthy, he's made the AFC championship game or the Super Bowl. Coming in at number 2 is a 2-time MVP, the reigning MVP. So I think it's a good spot for him, but just based off of that. Lamar Jackson comes in at number 2 on the consensus quarterbacks list. I think that's a good spot for him, just based off the fact he's the reigning MVP, two-time MVP as well. Two-time MVP. I forget. Big trust. Lamar Jackson comes in at number 2. And then number 1, I don't even need to go over this one. No one's going to have any debate about it. It's unanimous. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in all of football. I can agree with that. I'll agree with that one all day long, and I think everyone else will. Now, for Luke's list, we're going to go through a rankings quiz. If you guys have ever, there's another podcaster who has a site you can go and do rankings quizzes on NBA players and NFL teams and a quarterbacks list. It'll give you a full list of like your top, and with quarterbacks, it'll give me my top 38 quarterbacks. The current rookies aren't on the thing, but it'll give me a general list of what my top quarterbacks list looks like. So without further ado, we'll get into that. We'll go through each matchup. I'll give who I think's better, and we'll go through. So Josh Dobbs, Gardner Minshew, and I'm doing this if my thing's based on just best quarterbacks right now. Like if I'm picking a quarterback to lead me to a Super Bowl this year, who I'd rather have Gardner Minshew over Josh Dobbs. Gardner Minshew had a solid year this past year. Sorry, but the passion not taking an L there. Sorry, Cool Joe. This isn't even a question. Or Joe Cool, whatever you want to call him. This isn't even a question. Sorry, fellow alum, Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott or Justin Herbert? I just went on a full rant about Herbert. I'm not a fan of him. He's not a winner. As much as I don't like Dak, I'd personally rather have Dak Prescott over Justin Herbert. Dax at least has a above 500 record in his career. He at least has won some games in his career. Dak Prescott, I'll take over Justin Herbert. Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr. If you asked last year, everyone would have said Derek Carr. But heading into this year, Baker Mayfield's a pick here. You got Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder was just really bad. I liked him coming out of Cincinnati, but Sam Howell was solid, had put up a lot of numbers. Sam Howell's over Desmond Ridder. Brock Purdy or Geno Smith. This one doesn't really need any talking about. I'll take Brock Purdy over Geno Smith. Bryce Young or Taylor Heineke. I would take Bryce Young over Taylor Heineke all day long. I think anyone would. You got Patrick Mahomes, Tua, not even a question. Patrick Mahomes, Jordan Love, Mac Jones, not even a question. Jordan Love. A lot of people had Jordan Love in their top 10. He was probably like 13th on the consensus list. You had Stafford at 11. And Love may have actually been 12th or 13th, tied with Jared Goff. Kyler Murray or Anthony Richardson, who would I rather have? I'd probably rather have Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, they were trying to tank this year, but when Kyler Murray came back, they did just well enough to avoid getting the number 1 pick. I would take Kyler Murray over Anthony Richardson. AR-13 did look good, though, in the games that he played. He just got banged up in every single game. Jared Goff or Matt Stafford? This is a tricky one. I would go Matt Stafford because he's proven and he has a Super Bowl win, which Jared Goff does not. So I would pick Matt Stafford over Jared Goff. Jared Goff has been solid, but Matt Stafford has that Super Bowl ring to hold over Jared Goff. Kirk Cousins or Justin Fields? This isn't even a question. I would go Kirk Cousins between the two. Jimmy Garoppolo and Rodgers. Joe Burrow or Russell Wilson. And I recommend if you're watching this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify right now, I personally would recommend watching this episode on YouTube. But carrying on, Joe Burrow or Russell Wilson. I would take Joe Burrow over Russell Wilson. I'm actually gonna do something that I've never done before. For a second, I need to go do something. I'm gonna take a pause for a second. In this matchup, I'm definitely picking Josh Allen, but gonna pause for a second. Gonna see how this works on here. Voila, back like I never left. Sorry, I had to try to grab a water though. Probably didn't even cut out in anything. I know you just couldn't see the water right there. But all I did was pause the video. I think that probably came out good. I don't know how the cut came out, like if you could tell that there was a cut or anything. If you're watching up to this point, let me know in the comments if you could tell there was a cut. Besides for the fact I said I was going to do something real quick. Josh Allen over Kenny Pickett. Trevor Lawrence is over Ryan Tannehill. Trevor Lawrence struggled last year, but he's definitely over Ryan Tannehill. Stroud over Daniel Jones. Will Levis over Jacoby Brissett. Lamar Jackson over Deshaun Watson. Or Washington. Should I say he's washed, kind of. Joe Flacco or the Pastronaut. If I had to take a QB for this year, I'd probably go Joe Flacco between the two of them. Joe Flacco had a really good year last year. Josh Dobbs started out good when he took over for Cousins and Kyler, but then he started to fall off. Joe Flacco or Gardner Minshew. I would actually go Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, you know exactly what you're getting. 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns. He's going to give you a chance to win the football game. Both of these QBs will, but I'd go Joe Flacco. Justin Herbert or Derek Carr. Herbert or Baker Mayfield. Justin Herbert. Geno Smith or Desmond Ridder. Geno Smith or Sam Howell. Geno Smith. He's actually starting over Sam Howell. There's a reason for it. I could see Sam Howell eventually taking that job, though. I could see it. But I'd go Geno Smith for now. Tua over Taylor Heineke. Tua is definitely over Bryce Young. Anthony Richardson or Mac Jones. Anthony Richardson. Mac Jones was bad. Anthony Richardson, solid. Anthony Richardson or Jordan Love. I could see Anthony Richardson surpassing him after this year, but he needs to stay healthy. I'd go Jordan Love. Jordan Love had a great year this past year, or at least great end of the season. Now, this is an interesting one. I think these two guys are closer than a lot of people think. Jordan Love, Kyler Murray. Because of the injury for Kyler Murray and because he has been inconsistent and Jordan Love came on strong late, played good in the playoffs, I would go Jordan Love over Kyler Murray right now. Jared Goff or Justin Fields. I think Fields gets way too much hate, but he's going to continue getting hate here against Jared Goff. Jared Goff or Kirk Cousins. I think these two guys are basically going to have like a very similar career. Very similar guys. But I would take Kirk Cousins over Jared Goff. Kirk Cousins or Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford. Those two guys are very similar guys, but Matt Stafford has a ring. Kirk Cousins hasn't shown up in the past in big games. You got Jimmy Garoppolo or Russell Wilson. I would personally go Russell Wilson here. Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't been great. Russell Wilson hasn't been great either, but Russell Wilson has the past history. Jimmy Garoppolo has only been an average QB in the past. Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. This pick would be Aaron Rodgers for me. Aaron Rodgers would be moving on. Joe Burrow versus Aaron Rodgers. This pick would be very easy for me. Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is the second best QB in football. Ryan Tannehill or Kenny Pickett. Kenny Two Gloves. I would go Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill got benched for Levis, but Tannehill still has been better as a starter than Kenny Pickett. Josh Allen's definitely over Ryan Tannehill. Josh Allen over Trevor Lawrence. Daniel Jones over Jacoby Brissett. Daniel Jones was hurt last year, but when he did play the year before, he was solid, got his team to the playoffs, and Brissett's just a career backup. So Daniel Jones over Brissett. Now, this is an interesting one. Daniel Jones or Will Levis. Will Levis is a young gun. Daniel Jones is still relatively young. Not I'll say relatively. Yes, he's relatively young. Between the two right now, Will Levis did solid for his rookie year. I'll go Will Levis over Daniel Jones. CJ Stroud's without a doubt over Will Levis. Deshaun Watson is better than Josh Dobbs. That's not a question. Deshaun Watson's better than Gardner Minshew. Not a question. Now, this is a question, but I would still take Deshaun Watson. Joe Flacco did play better for the Browns, but I would still take Deshaun Watson. Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson? I'm going to go Lamar Jackson. I'll make a case for Hurts. I'll try to explain the case for Hurts here. The case for Hurts is Lamar's never won in the playoffs. When it matters, Lamar hasn't won. Hurts, when it matters, got to the Super Bowl and outdueled Patrick Mahomes. In Lamar Jackson's playoff history, he has not shown up. And Hurts has almost won an MVP. He's been second All-Pro, only to Patrick Mahomes. There's a case for him. He's shown up in the playoffs when it matters. He's won his entire life at every level of football. But as of now, I would go Lamar Jackson. Derek Carr, Desmond Ritter, Derek Carr. Like, come on. Derek Carr, Sam Howell. This is an interesting one, but I would still go Derek Carr, give the veteran the edge here. Derek Carr, Geno Smith. This is an interesting one, but Geno's played solid the last 2 years. Didn't play great last year, but I'd still go Geno over Derek Carr. Geno or Baker. Baker played amazing last year down the stretch. Geno played I'd go Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield or Brock Purdy. I'll go Brock Purdy. I think these two guys are going to have very similar type of careers. Very different draft spots. One was the first overall pick. One was the last overall pick. Brock Purdy over Baker Mayfield. Brock Purdy or Justin Herbert. Brock Purdy's good, but let's be real. As much as I don't like Justin Herbert, you put Justin Herbert on that Niners team, they're having the same record that Brock Purdy had, or better. Justin Herbert is over Brock Purdy. Mac Jones or Taylor Heineke. I'd go the Jaguars backup here over Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke's a career backup. At least Mac Jones has started in the past, a starting experience. And was a Pro Bowler at one point. I would take Mac Jones. Mac Jones or Bryce Young. Bryce Young, I was not a fan of him coming out. He held the ball too long in college. He's a little too small. Mac Jones was not great either. He got benched for Bailey Zappi. But between the two, I would take Mac Jones over Bryce Young. I know that might be a hot take, but I would take Mac Jones over Bryce Young. Mac Jones or Tua, I would take Tua there. Tua or Anthony Richardson, I would take Tua. Tua or Kyler Murray. This one's an interesting one, but when healthy, Tua's been solid. I would take Tua here. The only problem with Tua, there's one thing that holds Tua back. I think it could hold back Michael Penix too. The lefty aspect. There's a reason lefty quarterbacks, for the most part, don't work out well. For the most part, lefty quarterbacks do not work well. Tua or Jordan Love? I personally would go Tua. Tua has a better track record so far than Jordan Love. Jordan Love has played good for 8 games in his entire career. Granted, he's only started like 17 games in his career, but I'd go Tua here. Justin Fields or Jimmy Garoppolo? Jimmy Garoppolo has a better track record, but I think Justin Fields has more talent. I would take Justin Fields here over Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, this is an interesting one. Both Steelers quarterbacks. Russell Wilson is going to start out the season most likely, but I think by the end of it, Justin Fields will be the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. I think Justin Fields right now is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. When he came back from injury, he was 4-3 down the stretch with that Bears roster. And a Bears roster that did not have Rome Odunze, that did not have Keenan Allen, that did not have DeAndre Swift. Sorry, I'm hating on Caleb Williams right now. I hate that they drafted Caleb Williams and didn't give Justin Fields this. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a bust. Like, if they gave Justin Fields this, I think they'd be really good. But that's neither here or there. Give me Justin Fields over Russell Wilson. Justin Fields or Aaron Rodgers? Give me Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers or Jared Goff? Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins. I would go Aaron Rodgers still. Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford. This is an interesting one to me. Stafford has a ring. Bro, both of them have a ring. Both have been banged up the last year or so. But I would take the one of the best quarterbacks in my lifetime in this situation. I would take Aaron Rodgers. I would trust Aaron Rodgers more when it comes down to it. Kenny Two Gloves or Jacoby Brissett. I would take Kenny Two Gloves here. This might be a little biased considering I'm an Eagles fan now, but I think he was given a little bit of a raw deal in Pittsburgh. I would have given him one more year there in Pittsburgh. But Kenny Two Gloves over Jacoby Brissett. Pickett or Daniel Jones? I would go Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has at least gotten his team to the playoffs. Daniel Jones or Tannehill? Right now, I'd go Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence or Will Levis? Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence or CJ Stroud? CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud or Josh Allen? Josh Allen. We're in the final two stretches. It's going to take us through two more times, and then we're finished with this list, and then we'll get our full 38-person ranking. Ritter or Dobbs? I'd take the Pastronaut here. Josh Dobbs, Sam Howell over Josh Dobbs. Sam Howell over Gardner Minshew. Sam Howell or Joe Flacco? I'd take Sam Howell younger. Sam Howell or Deshaun Watson? I would take Deshaun Watson here. Deshaun Watson or Derek Carr? I'd take Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson or Geno Smith? I would take Deshaun Watson here. That could be a little hot takey, but I would take Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson or Baker Mayfield? Between the two, I would take Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield played good at the end of last year. Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert. You already know how I feel about Herbert. I went on my rant earlier in the episode. Jalen Hurts over Justin Herbert. Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has had more success in his short career than Dak Prescott has had in his entire career. Jimmy G or Taylor Heineke? I would take Jimmy G over Taylor Heineke. Jimmy G or Bryce Young? I would take, between the two, I would take Jimmy G. He has a track record. Jimmy G or Mac Jones? I would take Jimmy G. Jimmy G or AR13 or Russell Wilson? I would take Anthony Richardson or Justin Fields. I'd take Anthony Richardson. Richardson was really good last year, except for being banged up. Jared Goff or Anthony Richardson? I'd take Jared Goff. Jared Goff or Kyler Murray? Between the two, I would take Jared Goff. He's on that Kirk Cousins level to me. Kyler's good, but I think Jared Goff slightly. I just not just because recency. Could be recency biased here, but I would take Jared Goff over Kyler Murray. Jared Goff or Jordan Love? I would take Jordan Love here between the two, just because he has more overall talent. Jordan Love or Kirk Cousins? I would take Jordan Love here. Kirk Cousins is banged up. There's a reason the Falcons also drafted a new QB. I would take Jordan Love here over Cousins. Jordan Love or Matt Stafford? I would take Matt Stafford over Jordan Love. Stafford or Tua? I would take Stafford. Stafford or Mahomes? Mahomes or Rodgers? That's Mahomes all day long. Mahomes or Burrow? Mahomes. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting out of breath. We're in the home stretch. We're in the final stretch. I would take Jacoby Brissett over Desmond Ritter. Jacoby Brissett over the Pastronaut. Gardner Minshew over Brissett. Gardner Minshew over Kenny Pickett. Tannehill over Gardner Minshew. Joe Cool over Tannehill. Joe Cool over Daniel Jones. Joe Cool over Will Levis. Trevor Lawrence over Flacco. Trevor Lawrence over Sam Howell. Trevor Lawrence over Derek Carr. Trevor Lawrence over Geno. Trevor did not have a great year last year, but Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson. I would go Trevor Lawrence there. Trevor Lawrence or Baker Mayfield. I would go Trevor Lawrence just because the upside still. Baker, you can just about know what you're going to get out of Baker. Trevor Lawrence or Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, he's been proven to win more. Trevor, like I said, you don't know what you're going to get yet. He has the upside, but you still don't know what you're going to get. Purdy, you know what you're going to get. He's going to win you football games. I would take Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy or CJ Stroud. I'd take CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud or Justin Herbert. These two are interesting for me. CJ Stroud doesn't have enough time played yet, but I'm not a fan of Herbert. With CJ, I need one more year out of CJ Stroud to be able to put him above Herbert. Just to prove he's not a one-year wonder, I would take Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, I'd take Josh Allen. Josh Allen or Dak Prescott, I would take Josh Allen. Now, I already said my thing about Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen has way too many turnovers, and he hasn't really accomplished much in a short career. I think he's been a second-team All-Pro other than that. Jalen Hurts has been a second-team All-Pro in less time, and he's made a Super Bowl in less time, and he's done one thing that Josh Allen has never done, outdueled Patrick Mahomes. I would take Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen just because he's accomplished more in less time. Now, I can tell you and assure you for sure, this is the final stretch. Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke? I'd go Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke or the Pastronaut? I'd go the Pastronaut Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs or Bryce Young? Bryce Young. Bryce Young or Jacoby Brissett? Bryce Young. I would take Bryce Young over Kenny Pickett. I would take Bryce Young over Gardner Minshew. Bryce Young or Ryan Tannehill. I would go Bryce Young. Bryce Young or Daniel Jones. I'd actually go Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones over Mac Jones for sure. He's actually made a playoff run, or at least he's made it to the divisional round of the playoffs. Daniel Jones or Jimmy G. I would take Daniel Jones here. He has some talent, but Jimmy G is just a little Daniel Jones or Russell Wilson. Now, this could be a little hot takey. And no, Daniel Jones isn't great, but Russell Wilson is washed. I would take Daniel Jones right now over Russell Wilson. Daniel Jones or Justin Fields. I would take Justin Fields here between the two of them. Justin Fields or Will Levis. I would take Justin Fields. Justin Fields or Joe Flacco. I would take Justin Fields to be my quarterback this year. Justin Fields or Sam Howell. I'd take Justin Fields. Like I said, he went 4-3 down the stretch with the Bears roster last year with Darnell Mooney as his number 2 receiver. Justin Fields, Derek Carr. I would go Derek Carr here just because he has a track record. Justin Fields needs to prove a little more. Derek Carr, Anthony Richardson. Same here. Anthony Richardson needs to prove a little more. I would take Kyler Murray over Derek Carr. Kyler Murray or Geno Smith. I would take Kyler Murray over Geno. Kyler Murray or Deshaun Watson. I would take Kyler Murray over Watson because Deshaun Watson's washed, like I said earlier. So I'd go Kyler Murray over Deshaun Watson. Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield. This is an interesting one to me. Baker had a great end to the year, but I would take Kyler Murray just based on the talent here. Kyler Murray or Trevor Lawrence. Kyler Murray has more of a proven track record. You're not sure what you're going to get yet out of Trevor. You know what you're going to get out of Kyler for the most part. I would take Kyler over Trevor. Kyler Murray or Brock Purdy. I would go Brock Purdy here just because he's been proven to win games. Kyler has been a little inconsistent. So I'd go Brock Purdy here. Brock Purdy's just all he's done is won since he came into the league. Brock Purdy or Jared Goff. I think these two guys are going to have similar types of careers. I would go Brock Purdy right now over Jared Goff. Brock Purdy or Kirk Cousins. I go Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy or Jordan Love. I would go Brock Purdy over Jordan Love. Jordan Love needs to prove it one more year. Brock Purdy has done it for 2 straight years. Brock Purdy or Tua. Tua's been a little too inconsistent for my liking. I'd go Brock Purdy here. Brock Purdy or Matt Stafford. I would go Matt Stafford here over Brock Purdy Just because Matt Stafford has a ring, he's proven to be able to do it. He's been doing it for years. I'd go the veteran Matt Stafford here. Matt Stafford or CJ Stroud? I would, between the two of these, I think, like I said earlier, I think CJ needs one more year of proving it. I would go Stafford over Stroud. Stafford or Herbert? I'm not a huge fan of Herbert. I think Stafford has that ring. He's proven to be able to do it. I would take Stafford over Justin Herbert. I think Herbert's just the most overrated QB in football, the most overhyped QB in football. Matt Stafford or Dak Prescott, similar levels of QBs, but I would take Stafford because of the ring. I would trust Stafford more. Matt Stafford or Josh Allen, I would take Josh Allen here. Josh Allen just has a lot more talent at this point in their careers. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. I would take Josh Allen over Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is coming off a torn Achilles. Josh Allen's young. He's been proven to do it. Just needs to cut down on the interceptions. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Joe Burr. I'd take Joe Burr. Joe Burr, I think, like I said earlier, I think he's the second best QB in football. Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts. Joe Burrow, as much as I hate to do it. Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. I would go Joe Burrow over Lamar Jackson. And then that gives us our QB ranking. The top 10 quarterbacks. For Luke's list, we'll call this. CJ Stroud comes in at number 10. Justin Herbert at number 9. Number 8, Dak Prescott. Number 7, Matt Stafford. Number 6, the veteran, Aaron Rodgers. Number 5, Josh Allen. Number 4, the Duke, Jalen Hurts. Number 3, the reigning MVP, the two-time MVP, Lamar Jackson. Number 2, Joe Burrow. And number 1, the baby goat, Patrick Mahomes. Now, I actually think this is a solid list. You can look through the others. You can pause this and look through the others. Put in the comments what you disagree with, what you like about it. Now, some of it's not exactly what I would put, like if I'm putting just 1 through 10. But I wanted to do this just so people see what they like if they want to do a QB list and not sure how to do one. This is a solid way to get a good basis. You can do an entire QB ranking just for the most part. I like this list for the most part. Nothing that I really disagree with. Rodgers, I think, is a little too high. But I agree with this list for the most part. Put in the comments what you like about it, what you disagree with, and we'll see. We'll see how. If you would like to, put in the comments your top 10, and we'll compare. We'll see who what your top 10 is compared to my Luke's list for the week, and compare to the consensus. That would be greatly appreciated if you can do that in the comments. That'll do it, though, for this episode of Uncaged Sports Talk. Remember to tune in next week. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe on all of our platforms. It is greatly appreciated. And before signing off, I would want to let you all know to head and visit my friend Dan the Man Stanley at Sheridan Nissan, where they will hook you up with a new car. Just say Luke Sarenka and Uncaged Sports Talk sent you. And one more thing before we sign off. If you're still watching at this point, please put in the comments as well. Don't put one athlete that you think is one of the best of all time. And let it be an out of the box one, because I'm gonna have a lot of names already down by the time I look at the comments. But put down one athlete that you think is one of the best athletes of all time. One that's out of the box, though, that I might not have on the list yet. I already have like 10 people. Thanks for watching this episode. Please tune in next week to Uncaged Sports Talk.